what you said about me, but do you know what Jesus did for me? Jesus did something that a thought can't undo. Jesus did something. See? Jesus. Okay. Oh, God.
All right, baby girl. Now, while I'm not completely excited about this wardrobe choice you got us wearing in this episode, you need to hold it together now. I mean, you got to stay focused on what you're preaching about, baby girl, because when that earring came off, honey child, I feel like something clearly actually did get into your head, because in that moment we can clearly see that you had to take some time to pat that wig to make sure that it was not about to come off too with that earring, just like it did a few weeks ago when your wig came clean off your head up there. Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore, and welcome back to my channel. And ladies and gentlemen of this church house jury, just want to let the church say amen, because I'm coming back to you today with another episode from my series entitled Woman Evolve, the ProfessorBlackmore.com pre-show. And if you want to get the play-by-play of what happened when Sister Sarah's wig came off her head in church a few weeks ago, please watch my prior Wig Evolve episode. But today, I'm coming back to you with a follow-up on another previous episode in this series. And by the way of background, this series began last year when I showed you how Sister Sarah executed Woman Evolve Operation Number 1, when I took you through a review of the divorce decree pertinent to the dissolution of the marriage relationship between Sister Sarah and her former husband, Robert Henson. And as you can see here on page 2 of the divorce decree, the court maintains continuing jurisdiction over any suit affecting the parent-child relationship regarding the child identified here as MH, which is Sister Sarah's teenage daughter, Mackenzie Henson, that was born of the marriage with said former spouse. And just as Sister Sarah successfully executed her Woman Evolve Operation Number 1 by terminating her marriage relationship with her former spouse, Robert Henson, all the way back in 2013, last year, in 2022, she filed papers with said Tarrant County Court in this same court case, seeking to successfully execute her Woman Evolve Operation Number 2 by terminating the parent-child relationship between her daughter, Mackenzie Henson, and her former spouse, Robert Henson. Now, Sister Sarah filed this petition seeking to terminate the parental rights of her former husband on or about May 4th, 2022. And here on page 2, the child is identified again in this petition in similar fashion to the divorce decree, namely Mackenzie Ann Henson. And now, as specified here, also on page 2, for whatever reason, Sister Sarah thought her former spouse was residing in Virginia, but come to find out, he seems to reside in Colorado. But when we left off in my prior episode on the topic of this termination of parental rights petition, I showed you this return of citation, which was returned and filed with the court on August the 5th, 2022, reflecting that it was executed on July the 26th, 2022 at 10:42 a.m. in Denver, Colorado, when Sister Sarah's former spouse was personally served with these papers. And at that time, this meant that Sister Sarah's former spouse would have needed to have filed his answer in this case no later than 10 o'clock a.m. on the Monday following the expiration of 20 days, i.e. at 10 a.m. on Monday, August the 22nd, 2022. And at the time of my prior episode, which was in September of 2022, no answer had been filed. And so at that time, I told you that I strongly believed that this was Sister Sarah's true litigation strategy for this case, because I strongly believed that they were banking on her former spouse ignoring this case so they can obtain what we call a default judgment in this case. And don't get me wrong, it would be perfectly legal for a judge to enter a default judgment, but I personally could not see how a judge would enter a default judgment in a case like this. And if I were the judge, there is no way that I would have so quickly done so without taking some time to think carefully, considering the gravity of the weight of such an action and the effect that this would have on the mental health, emotional, and psychological well-being of the child. But as y'all know, I'm learning through my coverage of the Brandon Coleman criminal case in Ellis County, Texas, that this Potter's House crew is very well connected with all of those judges up there in Tarrant County and throughout this entire region in Texas. And as you know, because of my quick and agile legal skills, I was able to get the records that I have because the judge had not yet signed an order sealing the public record of this case. And so, I had been checking back with the Tarrant County District Clerk's office so I could get as much information as possible as I could before the judge did sign an order sealing this case. And the clerks ain't really happy about it at all, honey child. Because they probably go over there to that Potter's House first too. But anyway, y'all, let me stay focused. And as you can see, I am ever so kind and collegial whenever I communicate with the court. And I'm using this court case number information that they had given me on prior occasions. And I start my communication off by saying, "Good morning and Happy New Year. I wanted to check back with your office to see if you have any filings from September the 26th, 2022 to the present," which was at that time when I sent this email, January the 17th, 2023, involving, number one, any of the individuals below in your district court system, and or number two, any of the case numbers listed below, end quote. And so, okay, the clerk replies back and states, quote, "Those are sealed cases." He loved telling me that. But anyway, those are sealed cases. So I'm unable to view what has been filed. The Roberts case, though, was closed in 2018. And I thought that was interesting because I never asked about a Roberts case, but I think he meant the Coleman case. And if so, that's very interesting information. That's a very interesting clue. So he's saying possibly that the adoption case was closed in 2018. But moving on. And he states further, Jakes Roberts was closed December 2020. But for more information, one would have to file a motion to unseal, end quote. And I guess in all of his haste to not provide me with any information, it seems like he may have gotten the dates mixed up, and it seems like he may have gotten some of the names mixed up. And it didn't answer one question that I asked. But I deal with this all the time, people trying to confuse the hell out of me. So I said, okay, let me regroup and try again. And so I send a reply email and I say, "Good morning and thank you for your response. case number 325-520-529-12 is now closed? You indicated that it was closed December 2020. Did you mean December 2022? The case was not filed until May 4th, 2022. And also, in response to question 1, wherein I asked, do you have any filings from September the 26th, 2022 to the present involving any of the individuals below, namely Cora B. Coleman, Richard B. Coleman, or Sarah Dion Jakes Roberts? Regarding this question, number 1, I am just trying to find out if there are any new case numbers regarding any of these 3 people. If there are any, if any such case is sealed, that's fine. But I'm trying to ascertain if there has been a new filing in the event that I need to file a motion to unseal. In other words, I'm saying that I just want the case numbers if there are any new case filings of any new court cases, i.e., you see, I'm trying to find out if a divorce was filed for Cora Jakes, and I'm trying to find out if, there are any other cases that may have been filed in the meantime. I state further in the email. Also, if there are filings in case number 325-520-529-12, now that is the Sarah Jakes divorce and parental rights suit. So, if there are any filings in this case from September 2022 to the date it was closed, I would please like to order those files. And so, he replies back, quote, 325-520-529-12 being closed on December the 20th, 2022 is right. But as I stated in my last email, baby girl, that's what I think he was probably saying, baby girl, it was sealed and I would need to file a motion to unseal with the 325th court to retrieve any records. When I searched those parties' names, i.e. Cora B. Coleman, Richard B. Coleman, and Sarah Dion Jakes Roberts, I only found the case numbers you provided. None other filed. End quote. Okay. Wow. So now that completely cut through, y'all. So the case is closed means either one or two things. Either number 1, Sister Sarah gave up and non-suited or dismissed the case, or number 2, she obtained a default judgment of termination of her former spouse's parental rights. Now, I don't think in any way, shape, form, or fashion that Sister Sarah will be in a position to legally take the damn default judgment and then she would just non-suit or dismiss the case without taking the default. And so I am 95% sure that the former spouse's parental rights have been terminated by default judgment, which would have closed that particular part of the case because this court will still maintain continuing jurisdiction over anything having to do with custody of this child until she reaches age 18. Now, I also think that what could possibly have happened, since all of this was done in the dark of night and nobody could see what was happening, I could see the court, even though it was not pled in the petition, I could see them also granting Miss Sister Sarah a name change for her daughter, changing her last name to Roberts. I could actually see the court doing that. But I don't have any evidence or anything to say that that actually did happen. I can see that it was not pled in the petition. If they needed to amend the petition to plead it so that it could be rightly included in a judgment, a default judgment at that time, they would have needed to have reserved the father, Sarah Jakes' former spouse, with the amended petition. Then wait another period of time to make sure that he was not going to file an answer. Then the court could rightly enter a default judgment on the issue of name change for the child. But I could see them, since the case is sealed and I can't see the judge unsealing the case, I could see a judge granting them a name change even though it was not pled before the spouse was served, so that he could have notice of everything that was happening. So I'm just saying. Now, this is my full list of case numbers that the Tarrant County District Clerk gave me when I first started this series. And I have gone over what I think about all of these cases in prior episodes of this podcast. So I'm not going to go back over all of that again. But this third case on the list is a paternity suit case filed by a woman living in Georgia against Brandon Coleman. And if you want to find out about that, well, you can watch this episode, honey child. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But this case at the top is the only case on file anywhere dealing with Cora and Richard Brandon Coleman as parties. This case is an adoption case, and as the clerk states, it is sealed. And let me just tell you, all adoption cases are sealed by law in Texas. So that is why I have never been able to see what's in this case, but I have never seen one adoption case deal with two separate children that are not siblings being adjudged adopted in the same case. And I have never seen a court allow two people to come back in an adoption case and file a divorce out of that sealed case, but I cannot say that it would be impossible in this region with the connections that these people have. So either there is a divorce, and the only way that that could be possible is that it is filed in this adoption case, or there is no divorce at all, because if there were a divorce, it would have to be filed in the Tarrant County District Court. And I check back regularly, and they claim that these cases are the only cases on file dealing with these individuals. In addition, if a divorce case was filed in this case, this adoption case, one of these parties would have to be listed somewhere tied to this same case number or another case number, identifying one of these parties as a respondent, because a divorce is an adversarial proceeding and one of the parties would need to be identified as a respondent, and there is no case filed in this court or anywhere else listing these two parties wherein one of them is identified as a respondent. And as I have explained, because of the court's continuing jurisdiction over the children in Tarrant County, this court in Tarrant County is the only place legally that a divorce between Cora Jakes and her husband, Richard Brandon Coleman, can be filed. But what do you think about all of this mess spinning out of Sister Sarah's Woman Evolve Operation Number 2? Do you agree with termination of parental rights of the biological father? And do you think Sister Cora and her husband are really, actually, finally divorced? Or do you think they are using the word divorce just to get as much distance between that Potter's House church and these child sexual allegations that Richard Brandon Coleman has been accused of? Please let me know by leaving your comments in the comment section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by using the ProfessorBlackmore.com Cash App. And I want to also ask that you please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell, honey child, so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more hot tea drama on this case from the church house, the courthouse, and everywhere else. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.